From the News Channel 5 network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5 Plus. We're going to open up the phone lines tonight, 737-7767. Let you get in on the discussion. And there are plenty of things to discuss, but let's get some of those out there. Some news and notes from the day. First off, the Titans have signed their number 1 pick. Number 8 overall, Jack Conklin. The Titans getting down to business, and I think this is just the latest sign that John Robinson means business in his role as this team's general manager. He gets this deal done 2 months before Conklin and his teammates are going to report for training camp. They just start OTAs tomorrow, and he's already signed. So that is great news if you're a Titans fan. They now have 8 of their 10 draft picks already locked up on their rookie deals. And again, we're 2 months out from the start of training camp. So that's certainly a nice luxury. It's not a big deal. You're not in danger the way contracts are structured now for rookies that these guys are going to be missing training camp or holding out like maybe you were in the past. But still, to just get that headache out of the way, have all the guys done, and have them ready to go when you go into OTAs and this offseason work's got to be a luxury for Mike Mularkey and his staff to not have to worry about any of that off-field stuff, which is great. So Jack Conklin is locked up. We can talk about the Titans. We can get you set for OTAs. Marcus Mariota heading into his second offseason program with the Titans. What do we want to find out? What are some of the things you're interested in from whatever we can gather in these OTAs over the next couple of weeks? We'll take your thoughts on that. Vanderbilt seems to have a new women's basketball coach, and it appears like it is a home run situation. The Commodores have reportedly agreed to a deal with Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White. White led the Fever to the WNBA Finals last summer in her first season as a head coach. She won a college national championship at Purdue back in 1999, was an All-American, a terrific player there. She went into the WNBA, played for several seasons, then immediately became an assistant coach at the college level, then moved to the WNBA level where she spent the last, I believe, 6 seasons before becoming the head coach of the Fever last summer and had immediate success impressing everybody in the league. But she's always said, my dream is to be a college head coach. And she made an agreement, handshake deal, whatever, with the ownership and general manager in Indiana that said, if the right college job comes open, do I have the opportunity to pursue this? And they said, yes, you do. Just promise us you won't leave in the middle of the season. And so White is going to continue the rest of the summer, the rest of the WNBA slate with the Fever. But then she will become the basketball coach at Vanderbilt. So a terrific pedigree, a great background. She's a former player. She's bright. She understands everything that goes on with Vanderbilt. And here's the other interesting thing. So that's a tricky situation, right? Because your head coach isn't going to be able to join you for a couple months, even if an announcement comes in the next few days. So how do you get the program up and running? Here's how. White's college coach at Purdue when they won the national championship is former Vandy star player Carolyn Peck. And it sounds for all the world like they've also agreed to a deal with Peck to become the associate head coach for White. She's been out of coaching for quite some time on TV, sort of sitting back and enjoying life. But if she comes back as the associate head coach to her alma mater, it's a place she loves and knows, she can start the recruiting. She can put the staff together. She can do the summer workouts and things like that. And then when White comes at the end of the WNBA season, you are set and ready to go. And by the way, what a tag team. You've got a head coach that won a national championship as a player, played in the highest level that you can possibly play, and then coach at the highest level that you can possibly play. And well, I might add, 1 season, and she gets her team to the WNBA Finals, and you tag team her with a coach who won a national championship at Purdue as an associate head coach. This appears to be a grand slam home run for Vanderbilt to get Stephanie White and Carolyn Peck in the women's basketball program. Kudos to Vanderbilt if and when they officially announce this, that they have pulled it off, because that is a huge, huge deal. 737-7767 if you want to chime in on that story as well tonight. We also will visit, coming up later on in the program, with Nathan Thompson, who works at the Fox TV station in Tulsa, actually my old TV station, and covers the Oklahoma City Thunder in these playoffs, where the Thunder had a massive win last night in Game 3, 28 points over the Warriors, a team that won an NBA record 73 games in the regular season, is a prohibitive favorite in these NBA playoffs to repeat as champions. And last night, the Thunder took them to the woodshed. It was over early, and it just became a laugher after that. So we'll talk to Nathan about what's going on there, because that series right now stands 2-1 OKC, and I don't think many people saw that coming. So we'll chat with him about that. And also, maybe the biggest story out of last night, Draymond Green, not the biggest superstar on the Warriors, but a star nonetheless, and kind of the engine that makes them go in a lot of ways, whistled for that flagrant foul when the leg came up and, we'll just say, hit Steven Adams below the belt last night. It was a big deal. That's what everybody's talking about post-game, because the game itself was such a laugher, and they wondered, was that the type of play that would lead the NBA to step in and perhaps suspend Green? Well, today we find out the answer. Stu Jackson hands down the punishment, and Draymond Green had the flagrant foul go from a flagrant 1 to a flagrant 2. He was fined $25,000, but he will not be suspended for Game 4 or any part of this series for that incident last night, which is a huge break for the Warriors. Because to me, here's the deal. Steph Curry is the MVP. He is the best player maybe on his team for any team in the league. He is the MVP of the NBA, and is every bit that important to the Golden State Warriors. But I think the second most valuable player to the Warriors, and one of the more valuable players in the league, is Draymond Green. He is a guy that has a bunch of different skills. He distributes. He can be a playmaker. He rebounds well. He's one of their better defenders. He's a scorer when he has to be. Draymond Green does a bunch of things well, and he's kind of the motor for that team in a lot of ways. And I think if he would have been suspended, that would have been a huge blow to the Warriors in a series that they're already down 2-1. Now he's in the lineup tomorrow night. That gives them a big chance to even this series up and make it 2-2 heading back to Golden State. And as well as Oklahoma City has played, let's be real, that is a big game in Game 4. Because if you lose on your home court and go back at 2-2, well, now it's a best-of-3 series. Both teams have to win 2 games, and the Warriors have 2 games in their building where they've been so incredible, only lost 3 games all season long. If you win Game 4, well, now you're up 3-1. Only have to win 1 of the final 3, and 1 of those is in your building. So a huge, huge game, obviously, in this series, but maybe even more so for Oklahoma City heading into tomorrow night. A couple other news and notes for you. The Vandy women's tennis team's quest to repeat as national champions ended today. A loss to Stanford, 4-2 in the semifinals of the NCAA Tennis Championships in Tulsa. They lost the doubles point, which is usually a strength for this Vanderbilt team, and tried to rally back in singles play. Came back from really a 3-1 deficit, got it to 3-2, had a lead in one of the other 2 matches on the court, but they had to win them both, and they ended up losing 4-2 to Stanford. And that's it. An incredible run once again for Jeff McDonald and those ladies. They won the national championship last year, just a third NCAA title in all sports for Vanderbilt athletics. So hard to win one, even harder to go back-to-back. That's what they were trying to do. A great run, the farthest an SEC team went. The title tomorrow will be between Oklahoma State, which is kind of a really great story. A huge fan following there in Tulsa for a program that's never been this far before. They've really kind of taken that tournament by storm. And then Stanford, who moves on against Vanderbilt. So the doors fall short, but once again, an incredible run. And of course, we get into college baseball postseason now. If you're a Vanderbilt fan, eyes may be turned from tennis, where you're going for a national championship over these few days, to a baseball team that, hey, maybe isn't as good as the last few years in the regular season, but as we've seen, these doors, once they get to this time of year, this is when they take it to another level. And they've got arms. If they can hit a little bit more, this is a team that could make some serious noise in the SEC tournament this week and in regionals and into the College World Series in June. They begin SEC tournament play tomorrow, 9:30 in the morning against Missouri. And here's the really interesting thing if you're Vanderbilt. It is a win-or-go-home game tomorrow to get into the double elimination rest of the tournament. Vanderbilt's a team that is 41-15. They are ranked 10th, higher than that in some polls, but 10th in the main college baseball poll right now. They're the 6th seed in the SEC tournament. That is how much of a beast this week-long tournament in Hoover is. And that's what Vanderbilt's up against. So they got to beat Missouri tomorrow, then they get in the double elimination portion, and they start to get their pitching back at that point, because tomorrow it's going to be Patrick Raby, who's just a freshman. He's going to go out there and throw, up to this point, what is the most important game of the year. If you can get to Wednesday, there's probably a pretty good chance to see Jordan Sheffield go out there against Texas A&M in that game, and you set up your pitching rotation after that. So big game tomorrow for the Doors. Big task ahead this week for Tim Corbin's team. And Tennessee back in the tournament for the third consecutive year. That's the longest streak Tennessee has had making the SEC tournament since the mid-90s, 95 to 97. So congratulations to them for that. They finished 12th in the SEC, which in 14 teams isn't great. And that remains to be seen what happens with Coach Dave Serrano, depending on what happens in this tournament. But they have a tough task tomorrow night against red-hot LSU that just won a series from Florida, who was the #1 team in the country, cost the Gators the outright SEC baseball championship for the regular season over the weekend with that series win. So a tough task for Tennessee tomorrow night down there in Hoover. So a lot of topics out there today. We want to hear from you tonight. 737-7767 is the number. Let's begin tonight with Kevin. Kevin, hello. You are first up here on SportsLine.
Hey, Steve. How are you, brother?
Doing well.
I know what you mean. Hey, I've got a crazy question I wanted to ask you,
Sure.
and this is kind of in relation to Ron Howes, the meteorologist. I understand he went to Indiana State.
That's right.
Was he at Indiana State during the time that Larry Bird was there? Do you know that? It was just something that was asked to me earlier today as we was watching the news, and I was kind of curious.
I don't believe so. I'll try to check in with Ron. I believe Ron was slightly ahead of that time. But it's a good question. I think he certainly followed Larry Bird quite a little bit, as we all did throughout his career. They do have that tie, Terre Haute, and Ron is very familiar with that area. But I think Bird being there in the late 70s, of course, he played that epic NCAA Final Four game against Magic Johnson in 1979. I think that was a little bit after Ron's time.
All right, and I just wanted to throw some kudos out there to Ryan Ellis over the weekend, and then I'll get off, man. Great job for Ryan Ellis for the Predators, representing Canada, man.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kevin. That is something that I didn't mention in that long monologue to kick off the show tonight, but right after the long run with the Predators, Ryan Ellis goes up with Team Canada in the International Hockey League World Championships in Toronto. He gets the game-winning goal against the U.S. on Saturday in the semifinals there, and then Canada goes on to shut out Finland 2-0 in the gold medal game on Sunday. So Ryan Ellis, straight from the Predators, where he played very well throughout the course of the year, goes up and becomes a key contributor on a Canadian team that wins the gold medal at the World Championships on home soil, or home ice, if you will, in Toronto over the weekend. All right, we got to take a break. We're running a little bit behind, but we'll get to more of your phone calls. 737-7767 is the number. Phone lines wide open, a clear bank, so you can get in if you would like. We want to hear from you tonight. Stay tuned. This is SportsLine here on News Channel 5+.